Hey guys, Artosis here, bringing you some more of the RISS. Right now in this best of 7, we do have Dewalt leading 2-0 over TerrOr. I gotta tell you, game number 2 was a pretty darn good one from TerrOr, but you let up on Dewalt for just a moment and it is gonna spell defeat. So hopefully we can see TerrOr pick up a map here and not get too far behind in this series. I mean, coming back from 3-0 is kind of impossible. So, yeah, let's see how it goes down on Butter here. Now, Butter being a 2-player map definitely has the option for stealing a gas. That's probably what Dewalt's probe is going to do. Obviously, it could be a proxy gateway as well. It looks like, well, we'll at least have a forward gateway here. Yeah, this should be a gas steal with a forward gateway from Dewalt. So he's going to be putting a lot of pressure on TerrOr. We'll see how TerrOr wants to deal with it. There are ways, like, for instance, you can, when you see the probe, just instantly take your gas, like maybe cancel an SCV, or if you hadn't started the barracks yet, just spend your barracks money on that. You can just let it build, of course. That's actually the more popular way to go about it, just in case there's a proxy gate. You don't... if you go gas first and they have a gate in your natural, you're going to die. So you got to be careful about that. The barracks gets started rather quickly, but he will not be able to save his gas. Dewalt definitely going to take that in just a second. And of course he knows that TerrOr does not have the money as of yet. So there goes the assimilator. And TerrOr just checking like, okay, is there a proxy gate here? No, let's go scout across the map. Okay, so from here, there's like a lot of different options that can occur. TerrOr could do some sort of like marine rush, right? Like you can add a second barracks and try to cheese, but the probe saw this SCV leaving, so I don't think he can, like, really proxy one or anything, and if you make it in your main base, it's going to be too slow. He's going to go up here. Now, one of the most popular things for Protoss when they steal gas is to expand quickly, and this is what I was going to suggest. This is actually, in my opinion, maybe the best thing that you can do against offensive gas is offensive eBay. So what it does is it just stops Protoss from making their Nexus. Protoss loves to steal gas, put on Zealot pressure, and then go up and just throw a Nexus down. And their Nexus gets up really quickly. The Zealots slow your command center. It's really annoying as Terran. So the fact that he can just slow it this much and then cancel this before it dies, very, very good moves here from TerrOr. Now, TerrOr moving out with a Marine and an SCV. Obviously, he's not going to chase too far. He's going to turn around in just a second here. Also has to remember to cancel this. You do not want to let that die. And he's offensive gassing. Oh, I love to see it. that is kind of funny. That's going to allow TerrOr a lot of flexibility on what he wants to do here, because since Dewalt can't get his gas quickly now, it's like his Nexus is slower, his gas is slower. Obviously, TerrOr needs to make sure he's canceling these things and getting the money back. If you forget to cancel one, it's very painful. But yeah, I like how TerrOr has tried to approach this. Now, he does have to cancel the gas, so it didn't delay it that much, but certainly a Nexus was quite delayed. Now, 4 Marines going in. These Zealots will not try to run by against 4 Marines. If it's 2 or 3 and you have like 3 Zealots, it's really good to run by. But when it's 4 and you have 2, it's not really worthwhile. The Marines are going to deal so much damage on the way, and if there's an SCV to block, you're going to lose at least 1 Zealot that's trying to get out of there. Now, looks like, you know, obviously this Nexus is over halfway done. Finally, he is going to go ahead and expand to his natural here. TerrOr is. He's getting his gas mined as well, so we should see a factory going up here pretty quickly. And 3 Zealots actually do run by. He has nothing there to block, but 5 high-health Marines. So, yeah, let's see him target down. Yeah, I think this is fine. Like, you're going to be okay as TerrOr. Very, very good micro right there. Kills off 1. His factory's getting delayed, which is annoyed, but both these Zealots are quite low, so he's going to deal with those. Okay, he is making another Marine. I was going to say, you need to have a Marine in that bunker. It's, like, actually very important. This Zealot may run by, though, and target this SCV down. Since it's damaged especially, it's only going to take 2 hits, and you're going to delay the command center by quite a bit by doing that. So this Zealot going to end up falling. He actually does not commit onto it. So yeah, it looks like TerrOr has dealt with everything at this point. Now notice he has like 200 gases. He starts the second factory, so you can see his build has been messed up a bit. He might add a third factory. No. Looks like he chooses not to do that. little bit too much for him, I guess. 3 factory is not like the greatest, but some people try to use it. Like, I've seen it just used a little tiny bit at the pro level. I've tried it myself. It's it is sometimes you can get some damage off, but generally there's a Reaver follow-up from Protoss in these types of positions. Dewalt, though, looks like he might just go 2-gate Observer. We'll see. He hasn't actually started his robo as of yet. This game has been so down and dirty, honestly. It's like hard to keep track of where we're at. And he just now gets his robo. So the eBay coming up here for TerrOr. He's just playing. This is like kind of textbook, right? He doesn't know what's coming. So if you don't know what's coming, eBay is very smart. Unless you happen to have a build that has like mines quickly, then you can do something like get an academy. Because then you have the double layer of protection against DTs. All right, so range not done quite yet. Siege tank on the way. Some turrets going up for TerrOr, making sure that he's going to be safe. Speed gets started, so not really committing to any siege mode or anything. Instead, it looks like he wants to get his vultures out a little bit more quickly. With the double turret, he should be feeling pretty safe overall as well. I don't know that he needed this second turret so quickly, but again, it's hard to keep track of exactly where you're at in a game like this, where there's like so many offensive structures, all the timings are off, there's like zealot run-bys and things like that. It can be extremely hard to keep track, and honestly, it's better to spend the 75 minerals if you're unsure and just make sure you don't instantly die to something silly. Okay, now this is great movement from TerrOr. He puts some serious damage onto at least one of the Dragoons. Dewalt trying to pressure, but TerrOr instantly punishing. By the way, third Nexus coming up here for Dewalt, and that very standard 3-gate Observer now coming up from our Protoss players. So he's just... I like this about Dewalt a lot, right? Like, he's not doing anything overly fancy. He's like, I'm going to make a lot of units, and I'm going to be able to see things. And that's a lot of times going to allow you to outplay your opponent. Now, once again, with the 4 speed vultures, we're going to see TerrOr leave, go out onto the map, and we'll see what he can get done. The vultures, you know, these are more for scouting and forcing a defensive posture upon Protoss than it is for damage. Sometimes you get damage with them, and that's always great. That's an added bonus. But yeah, it's like when they see the vultures, excuse me, they do have to think about coming back with everything. Does end up losing one, takes some damage as well. No real great mines out on the map as of yet. He can still lay some, though. Plenty of mines left over. But notice how there's no longer any units up here. You have to be very careful once those vultures are out, because there are things that you can do, like lay mine traps for the goons, push them back into it with your tanks, things like that. And he's getting caught a little bit, so that's a bit sad. Doesn't catch any probes or anything, but still, it's not a bad play here at all from TerrOr. Who, by the way, he's got his armory going. Third command center is well on the way. You know, he's got his academy, his comm stats. He's adding factories. This is all very good, very standard stuff coming out of TerrOr right now. But Dewalt is getting that economic advantage. Now, Forge and Citadel coming up. Shuttle as well. Shuttle is just going to add that extra layer of defense. Oh, whoops. Did not mean to turn that vision off. Hopefully it does not bug out. But yeah, let's see what TerrOr's play is. He's going to be taking a third base, and he's got pretty good turret coverage. There's no real harassment that can come in from Dewalt. That's hard for TerrOr to spot, but it really looks like Dewalt's going to go, you know, gateway heavy. There's a good scan. There's another good scan. So he scans both main locations where you'd see tech. And right now, from what we can see, TerrOr has nothing to be afraid of. This is a defensive force, not an offensive force. Like what you see here, this really can't bust anything that's quality. Like this, absolutely not. This would absolutely smash these goons and everything. You'd have to move things, you have to micro just a little bit, but like you'll lose everything as Dewalt if you try to attack. So he even sets up the bunker. Like that's some serious defense. Oh my god, is he actually going to try this? This is insanity. He drops right on top of everything. The SCVs block very, very well. And Dewalt actually getting some quite strong connections in here. And the thing is, there's 3 tanks, so he can't keep going to this side. And the SCVs are blocking super, super well here as well. Dewalt actually doing a bit better than I thought he would with it. Ooh, got to be careful there as TerrOr doesn't move these units over. He needs to immediately bring those up. And I guess I got to eat my words. Dewalt does a very good job with that army. I do think TerrOr should have been able to hold that a little bit better. But Dewalt's certainly getting in here and getting a bunch of damage done, man. This is really painful. I think the most painful part might be the amount of SCVs going down, the amount of mining time being lost. Oh, God, as he comes in with that flank. It will clean up the goons, but at what cost, right? Like, this is done amazingly for Dewalt. Ouch. TerrOr in a bad, bad spot now. During this, Dewalt taking a 4th base. Yeah, he's going to back up with his single remaining Dragoon. He doesn't actually have that many gateways right now, but the problem is a lot of siege tanks were lost. Oh my God, TerrOr's only on 3 factories right now. That's a big issue. That is a big, big issue. Oof. Yeah, I don't know, man. This is looking very, very bad now for TerrOr. Obviously, he lost a lot of siege tanks there, but the fact that he didn't have the factories added, this starts to become mathematically impossible. There's like certain timestamps, certain benchmarks that you need to hit as Terran, and his factory add one has been completely missed. That is an issue. So hopefully TerrOr can pull this together a little bit. Dewalt, though, is going to basically have free reign to do whatever he wants because TerrOr's max is going to be very, very slow. Now, obviously, there's been a lot of scuffling going on. The early game was a bit wonky and everything, but TerrOr has a lot less than he should, right? At 12 minutes, you can be, 2-1 upgrades with, 7 factories and 150 supply, right? Like, that is something that can be the case. And we see that he's very far behind that right now. Now, Dewalt going into Arbiter Tech. We don't see Psystorm Observer Speed, though, on the way. Some Photon Cannons coming up for anti-Vulture harassment. Comes down with another army. This is a very sparse defense now from TerrOr. Definitely seems like he might not have enough at any point, especially considering I really thought he did have enough in the previous attack, and then Dewalt just kind of opened him up. TerrOr trying to macro his way through this, setting up heavy defenses. I guess that is the only thing you can do is just try to weather the storm as you try to build that supply, but he's down 55 supply at the moment. Dewalt just running in, eating through those mines, drops off some Zealots here. Very sloppy attack, I would say. It didn't do very much, so that's the type of thing that TerrOr needs to have happen right now. He does do a drop over here at this base. Oh my God, he's getting a lot of probes here. Pretty amazing. Another drop into that main base as well. So he actually brings that worker count down below his own. Very effective siege tank drop. Don't forget the siege tanks are important to TerrOr right now. He's very low number-wise on that. He will lose that dropship, unfortunately. So that was a somewhat significant investment, but I would definitely say worth it there. Dewalt, of course, with 4 Nexuses, can refill the probes to whatever level that he so desires here. Vulture's going out, laying down some mines. And, well, yeah, Dewalt still just has really that control. Like, you can rotate the Vultures around like this, but it's very, like, textbook for Dewalt to just run around and clear it, right? He already got Observer Speed and everything, so the odds of him running into any mines with his goons, very low. Like, maybe you can lure some Zealots in. It's a possibility. And you got to grind back value however you can as TerrOr, you know? One thing to mention is his supply is getting reasonable now, right? When you hit 140, like, that's one of the big numbers for Terran where it's like, okay, you're in a real game now. Before that, you're very fragile. Around 140, you scale up to a point where you can do things like hold on against maxed out attacks if you're positioned correctly. So he's actually getting an okay army size now. He's got a good factory count. His upgrades are 1-1, and we don't have a science facility. So that's going to be it for upgrades for quite some time. Not necessarily the end of the world. Obviously, Terran upgrades are amazing, but you can play for a bit with weaker upgrades. Still has decent map vision with some mines. Might lose a big chunk of vultures there, unfortunately. And it looks like he wants to do some sort of push here. So Dewalt backing up. It's unfortunate he lost that. I feel like another group of vultures here would be just amazing. But yeah, I think going up and taking this position is a smart move. Oh, he actually lays mines. He's going to take the low ground instead. This is going to give Dewalt more options, right? He can very quickly come down to attack or very quickly try to go for a counterattack. And here he goes. He just goes in on top of everything. A huge stasis. Oh my god, that stasis is amazing. And yeah, it looks like Dewalt is going to have a pretty favorable trade here. More vultures are still coming up, and he will push Dewalt back for now. But I think that this was pretty good for Dewalt. He's got to be happy with that. He's got a lot more units coming out. Does come up for another hit. We don't see the scan, so the Zealot's doing a great job killing off some siege tanks. And he is going to be able to kill these off as well. Oh, man. And if he kills these when they unfreeze, this game is getting dire indeed for TerrOr. He may want a GG. There's not really a lot of options left for him at this point. Especially as these come out, right? Like, I mean, if you could save those, at least you still have 4 more siege tanks. But look at that supply differential. 150-ish against 90. More units coming out for Dewalt. Dewalt, like, you know, he's utilizing mostly gateway units here and a few arbiters. So it's so easy for him to refill. And GG, Dewalt goes up 3-0. So jumping right into game number 2, we are on Blue Storm, the 2-player map, and Dewalt grabbing an offensive gas immediately. Obviously something you can always do on a 2-player map. And there is a counter scout coming down from TerrOr, so you'll be able to check out what's going on. Actually, no gateway yet. So as TerrOr, like, how do you want to do this? Are you going to try to throw down the offensive engineering bay? Looks like Dewalt is really staying on top of this SCV. And by the way, like, Dewalt looks like he wants to go Nexus first, so TerrOr may want to throw down, yeah, the engineering bay. That's highly annoying for Dewalt because you can see him banking the minerals for this. There is a barracks being hidden down here. I'm not sure exactly why he made it down in that location. But Dewalt going to be forced into going gateway when he wanted so badly to go for that Nexus first. But yeah. Blue Storm, you know, I do want to talk about this map a little bit. This is one of my favorite maps of all time. I think Blue Storm is like a fantastically fun, old school map. It's not super balanced nowadays. There's some funny things about it. This is the only way to cross the map on land. So basically, if Terran grows to the point where they own this area and they cut the map completely in half, you must go air for Protoss, whether that's mass shuttle, arbiter, or carrier. There's no way really to break with an attack because this is probably the smallest cut in half of any pro map, although this, to be fair, this map isn't played that much anymore. So yeah, that kind of makes it interesting. The naturals are very attackable. You can run like DTs through here, or, you know, obviously you have the high ground advantage here, so it's hard to push out of your natural. It's certainly hard to get to that point where you're over here, but once you get there, it's very strong. So I'm hoping TerrOr can put something together to make that dream occur, right? Where he controls his half of the map and kind of just has a setup here that Dewalt cannot pass. Now, 3 Marines look like they want to go on an attack, but there's going to be 2 Zealots. Like, 3 Marines just barely beat 1 Zealot with good micro. When the second one pops up, it's literally like a Zealot doesn't even come close to dying. So he's hiding this Zealot on the high ground. This is a really smart move from Dewalt. And this is a bad situation for poor TerrOr. In fact, everything bumps into each other. Oh, yeah, I was going to say he should get another hit there. And then it freezes, because here's a funny thing about Brood War. If you give any attack command to a unit at its 100% maximum range, it will freeze, and you have to hit hold position to make it move again. I know, it's crazy. It's a crazy game. Happens to Marines like all the time. Happens to Goons sometimes. I almost never see it from Zealots, but it definitely happened right there. Anyways. Yeah, it looks like, ooh, an offensive pylon. That's kind of nice. The bunker is not ready, and he's got 2 damaged Marines, a healthy Marine, and another healthy Marine. So 4 Marines against 2 Zealots is not all that good. 5 is doable if you have health. Oh, God. Oh, man. I mean, right now with TerrOr being down 0-3, you cannot have these Zealots destroy the game for you. That's some very good SCV blocking. Very, very good job there from TerrOr. Maybe he will end up holding here. Another Zealot is going across. No Marines in the bunker. He does have an extra one here, so at least there's that. And, oh my God, with the pylon in here, it's so hard to make anything occur. Like, everything is so janky. He's missing mining time. He's making a Vulture at this point. No add-ons. And Dewalt, being a dirt nerd, going for the Citadel of Adun. So he's going to go for a Dark Templar rush now, which might end up working, right? Like, everything has been so stalled out. In the other games that looked kind of similar to this for TerrOr, he normally had an engineering bay done by now. He's been very good about having turrets in time, but he hasn't needed them in literally any game yet. At least the early ones that he's gotten, right? Here, we don't see the engineering bay, and he's been slowed down in so many ways. He literally might forget it, but he's a good player. I imagine he's going to start it up. Robo. Oh, my God. We're going to see maybe a DT drop as well. Like... Yeah, maybe a DT drop. That's one way to get around a frontal turret or mines, that's for sure. Now, siege tanks are actually being produced. We have nothing that helps with detection. There it is, the very first building that helps with detection, the engineering bay. So hopefully he will get a turret up. You do have to be careful. Like, DTs can run by. Obviously, if you drop off in the main base and you don't have the protection there, you're going to be in trouble as well. See how that goes. A couple DTs should get started here from Dewalt. Oh, he actually gets supply block because he loses the pylon up here. That's kind of funny. But he was not far behind with his additional pylon, so it was only for a second. Shuttle on the way. Stargate coming up, so we're going to have an immediate follow-up into Arbiter Tech. So it's going to be DT drop directly in Arbiter Tech. By the way, you might see that he's got this open. Vultures don't fit through here. Zealots fit through here, but Vultures do not. So you don't actually have to worry about this. There's not, like, a Marine rush that comes in and harasses your probes. Although, now that I'm looking at it, I'm sure people are going to think, oh, man, stim a couple fire bats in there, destroy the whole probe line. I don't think so. All right, couple missile turrets going up. They are there before the DTs. There's a missile turret as well. Now, the problem could be if the DT drop approaches from the correct angle and gets in, like, let's say he drops them here. He could just run up and kill the turret literally before it can be repaired or units can get up to attack them. So even though you have detection, that doesn't mean you're going to hold the DT drop. You have to have units in the vicinity. It's incredibly important. Now, let's see where he actually flies a shuttle, because I feel like this could be a game decider. Well, not... If Dewalt loses the shuttle, it's not necessarily game over, but, like, if it gets off well, it is game over for TerrOr losing. Okay. Drops DTs out and actually takes huge damage on that. Oh, my God. He loses the shuttle. But... this turret only detects to here. So, yeah, he can't stop that turret from going down. You have to turret creep. You have to build one, like, here and then, like, one here. Oh, man. This is painful. This is painful. Oh, he should sneak that DT into the main base. Oh, no. Third command center is going up for TerrOr. Okay, he's making an academy. Oh, man, he's starting to attack the turret. There's nothing up here to help. Okay, does start to repair, so he should be able to kill that, or at least push it back so that it can only kill the armory. Doesn't have his mines quite yet. Dude, this is bad. Everything going wrong for TerrOr here. Dewalt, in the meantime, teching up into Arbiter, getting just plenty of units out, getting ready for his own third base. That armory, not long for this world. I mean, he can maybe try to lay mines to kill this DT, but that's going to be quite time-consuming as well. Comstat's not ready yet. Only 2 factories, playing against 4 gates, plus the Stargate. Oh. Okay, finally gets up a turret here, so he can start mining at his natural again. Did do the double turret push up to it. Dewalt just kind of going across the map. Not sure that he even needs to do this right now. I think he's, his stasis says it's a choose-your-own-adventure of win right now for Dewalt. At least that's what it feels like. Look at this, 42 workers against 54. We're going to have the first Arbiter out in a second. There's 6 more gates on the way, so he's going to be on 10-gate production. Legs are almost done. And then, of course, Arbiters. He's got a good pylon wall here. I mean, everything is in the favor of Dewalt right now, who already leads 3-0. I'm sure he'd be incredibly happy going 4-0 against TerrOr. TerrOr having a very hard time in RISS. His matches, I think we've only casted one other so far. Yeah, versus Bond, if I'm recalling correctly. But he did get 4-0 there. So if he gets 4-0'd here as well, that's rough, not winning a single game against Protoss. But I tell you what, I can relate. It's a tough matchup. So right now, Stasis on the way. He does have that first Arbiter. Lots of Zealot production. Plenty of Dragoons as well. Honestly, he might just do a Stasis bust. A lot of factories being made out here. That's kind of an interesting macro location. The main base is big, but maybe he's afraid of recalls. Or maybe he just wants a quicker rally. I've never really seen people utilize this area as earlier production. Certainly later on, when everything becomes full, it can be a great place. But interesting to see. TerrOr with his own take on his building placement. He generally always does have that as well. Definitely has his own style in regards to that. More factories coming up. So it looks like TerrOr wants to really mass up. Look at this. Adding 6 factories. So he's going up to 8 facts on 3 base. So that just shows us that he wants to really get his supply up there and then do things. And we've seen this before from him as well, where macro up pretty heavily on 3 base and then maybe like double expand while he tries to take the map. Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Okay, Dewalt coming in now. He has a lot of units in here. Zealot's ready for the bombing as well. Comes up with the stasis. And that's a weird stasis, but does get 2 tanks even though he splits it. Dropping off Zealots on top of this. More Zealots coming in. Only a few Vultures remain, so these Zealots going to be deadly. They're going to be able to get on top of 2 of these siege tanks immediately. Oh my god, everything getting cleaned up. And honestly, this looks like this is the end of it. Dewalt going to be able to take down TerrOr with a 4-0 map score. Very tough for our Proving Terran. GG.